been into smartwatches for close to 3 years now. I used to have a Pebble Time Steel, which I loved until Pebble went under, something I commented here on my channel. So ever since, I've been looking for a Pebble replacement. And I think I found one. GearBest sent me this guy right here. This is the Amazfit Pace. It has some shortcomings when I compare it to the Pebble, but it's actually a pretty sweet device. Let's check it out. Alright guys, this is the Amazfit Pace. Now right off the bat, one thing that jumps at me is that the actual quality, the build quality of this smartwatch is pretty decent with a lot of these cheaper Chinese smartwatches. And I say cheaper comparing them to the Apple Watch, which is I guess the gold standard in this space. Then again, that's not saying much because the Apple Watch is pretty expensive. My point is that this watch, despite being more affordable than some of the competition, actually feels pretty good in hand. It feels pretty solid. It's made of glass and ceramic here in the back. It feels like a solid watch. I've tried a lot of different smartwatches over the years from my partnership with GearBest, and I can honestly say this by far is the one that feels the most premium. It is a tad more expensive than the other stuff they sent me to test, but you can tell where the money went to. Let's start with the screen. What you got here is something called Trans Reflective Technology. Basically, the screen sort of lights up when the light hits it just right. It becomes very legible. I'm not sure if that's coming across in the video here, but basically when it's in the shade you can't see it so well, and then the moment light hits it, it becomes very legible, very clear. Of course, it does have a backlight. It's not the brightest backlight I've ever seen on a device, and I'm not sure if this is due to the technology that they use to make the screen be this reflective. You can read it just fine, it's just not really blindingly bright. So this is a touch screen, but they use a very interesting solution to prevent you from accidentally brushing the screen against your skin when you're walking around or whatever. The touch screen is inactive until you press this little button on the side here, and then the thing comes alive and you can actually swipe. Now, one thing that's interesting, I'm going to try to get this here in the video. One thing that's interesting is that when the watch has the touchscreen disabled, it's on some sort of low power consumption mode, and even the watch face becomes less detailed. I'm going to try to get that here in the video if the focus helps me. So right now the screen is inactive, and if I press this button right here, you can see that the screen sort of comes alive, and the watch face that you're using becomes more detailed. It's an interesting battery saving solution to have the watch really only pop when you're interacting with the screen. So at the back here you have the biometric sensor for fitness tracking. You have these little connectors here which use with the charging base that comes with it, and it's just a standard micro USB here on the side. They give you a micro USB cable in the box. You snap it together like so. It gives it a little satisfying click to make you know that it's nicely in place, and you can charge it like that. The battery lasts about, in my experience, about 3 days. It doesn't last as long as the Pebble, but then again, very few electronic devices last as long as the Pebble did. So let's take a look at the functions here. You press the button, the screen comes alive, and you're able to start swiping. It's hard to operate a touch screen when you're looking at through a viewfinder on a camera, but I'm gonna see what I can do here. So there's a daily step overview. So your heart rate, so you can have it set to read your heart rate constantly throughout the day, or you can just get a reading on the spot. I don't use this function as much as I thought I would. A weather forecast, a fetch failed. I think it's because I haven't updated the app on the phone in a while, but this will give you the weather updates. I'm gonna try to fix that. And here are the other functions of the watch. Now these all show up on the watch. They populate the watch as screens that you can swipe. I don't like that, and I just got a notification here. We'll get into that later. I don't like having all of these that I have to, in a way that I have to swipe to get to it. It pisses me off. So all the essentials I use as I orient them as screens that I swipe through, and then the stuff that I don't use very often all goes to the end of the watch. So one by one here. Music, this is your music controls. Now one thing that disappoints me in the Amazfit Pace, and it's entirely a matter of software, so I'm hoping that they'll fix this, is that you can't control music on your phone with this. Instead, it has 4 gigs of storage, It keeps timing out on the touchscreen to save battery, I suppose. It has some 4 gigs of storage on it, so you can, when you connect it to your computer via micro USB, you can transfer your music or your podcast to it, and then what you control on this app is the music that is actually on the watch itself. It connects with headphones over Bluetooth, so you can actually go running without bringing your phone with you, which I know is a decent, it's a selling point for a lot of people. Not so much for me. I like having my Apple Music, my podcasts on Pocket Casts. I don't want to be having to manually manage all of my media on the 4 gigs of this watch, but the option is there. Alarm is self-explanatory. What else you got here? Compass. What else? Stopwatch, sleep mode, where it tracks your sleep, and training, which it sets up. This app sets up a basically a training program for you with all the activities you can do while wearing the watch. So let's go to the activities screen here. So you got here run, walk, run indoor, so like on a treadmill or something like that. Bike indoor, like a stationary, trail run, elliptical, activity, so this will give you a summation of all the activities you had on that week, and the settings. So I found myself wearing this watch when I do my morning runs, and I find it pretty accurate. It's hard to be 100% accurate with these things. I've had, believe it or not, 3 different devices measuring my runs, and they are all within a pretty decent range of one another, but there is some variation, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, the watch faces, this is something I really appreciate about this watch, because a lot of these smartwatches don't give you the option for custom watch faces. The Pebble was the outlier. They had a little store where you could download watch faces on it. This thing has quite a few custom watch faces made by the community. You do a long press on the watch here, and it's going to take a little while to load the other watch faces because I have a lot of them in this thing. Forgive me about the focus. So with these reviews, I'm still wrestling with the autofocus on my 70D. Anyway, so this is the watch face that I like. As you can see, the longer you walk throughout the day, this little border here fills up with red. I really should have done this after my run so you could see what it looks like, because empty like this, it looks like I'm a lazy bum. So long press on the watch interface here, and then you're dropped into the watch face screen. A lot of these watch faces you can actually customize. I'm not sure if you can see down there, but there's a settings button, and you can change what the complications, I think it's the name that Apple gave to these things, the little widgets that show battery life, how many steps you've taken, how many calories you've burned, and so on. When I get to the end of the watch faces that ship with the product here, and then you start seeing some of the custom watch faces, like you have some fun stuff like a Mario watch face. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a pretty big Mario fan, so this is I like glancing at my watch throughout my workday to see what time it is, and seeing this. This is something I enjoy. So it has a lot of watch faces. It has a lot of fun watch faces like this. It has a lot of more serious watch faces, more elegant watch faces that better match the premium feel of the watch, I will say. These are not as easy to get as the Pebble, where you could just pull out your phone, go in the store, and start downloading them. These are available on forums and subreddits, and there's actually a page. Some guy made a page. I'm going to link it in the description, with a whole bunch of watch faces. You can make your own, but you do have to connect this to your computer and transfer them to the memory in the watch to have them available here. Speaking about the app, where's my phone? As you would expect, the Amazfit Pace has an app, a companion app, where you can swap watch faces, you can sync the information, the fitness information, you can check the settings for notifications, what's going to send notifications to the watch, which is, in my opinion, the main thing you're going to end up using on your watch. Apps and games like you used to have on the Pebble, those things are just, they're kind of cool novelties, but the thing this is going to actually help you with in your day-to-day life is notifications. Being able to filter notifications and act on notifications that are more important than others at a glance at your wrist, instead of constantly pulling out your phone and unlocking the screen to see what's going on. So the app, a lot of people criticize the app for not doing a good enough job on its own with fitness tracking. Instead, you get the data from your run or your activities, and then you have to push it to a companion app. In this case, they work with Strava, which is a running app I know a lot of my friends who are runners use. It's a painless process, but a lot of people dislike the fact that you need this to grab the information from the watch, and then you have to push it to another app to do its thing. So yeah, this is the Amazfit Pace. I actually quite like this watch. I forgot to mention, it's IP67 or 67. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that. So that means it's water resistant. It's not officially waterproof. You don't want to go diving with this thing, but showering, washing the dishes, being out in the rain, that's just fine. I like this device quite a bit. With a lot of things that GearBest sends me, some of those things I just don't find a lot of use personally. They're cool, but I don't find myself using it. This is not the case. This actually retired my Pebble Time Steel, which was twice the price of this thing. Now, it's hard to give a price tag on these reviews because these things, GearBest has deals all the time. They're having a big September event right now, and a lot of their products have discounts. I believe the Amazfit Pace is going for, actually, let's just check it out here. Oh, snap, okay, it's much cheaper than when they first sent me. It's going for 118 Canadian, 118 Canadian dollars, let's say 120 Canadian dollars. That's a pretty decent price for something that looks and feels this good. I don't think you're gonna find another smartwatch in this price range that feels this premium. I forgot to mention also the bands here, 22mm bands, and they are easy to swap out. So it's the same size as the Pebble Time Steel. So actually, though I don't have the Pebble Time Steel anymore, I gave it to my girlfriend, I can swap these for any of the billion Pebble Time Steel bands that I accumulated over the years. So that's kind of nice if you want to add your own flair, you want to get bands that match a specific watch face you happen to like. That's something you can do with the Amazfit Pace. So yeah, 118 Canadian dollars on GearBest. I'm gonna, as always, put a link in the description where you can buy this device. And a big thanks to GearBest for sending me these awesome products to review for you guys. I can honestly say I'm 100% satisfied with the Amazfit Pace. The one thing I think is, the one thing that I don't like about it, and really the only thing, thankfully it can be figured out through software one day if they push an update to fix this, is the fact that you can't control your music on the watch itself. And the reliance on the touchscreen makes it so that you can't operate it as well when you're, say, having a shower. The Pebble had buttons, physical buttons on the side, so it's much easier to use, say, to swap music if you're driving or in the shower. This with the touchscreen, underwater, not going to work so well. But that's pretty much my only reservation with the watch. Other than that, great product. But that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. See you next time.